Homage to the Dharma, homage to the Sangha. And homage to the four positions: sitting, standing, walking, and lying down. With each of these positions, we can meditate. And I wanted to look at that today. Several of you were at the session that we had yesterday. We call it a Kinhin session, which is walking meditation. And so you've heard some of this. You've been reminded recently of the wonderful practice of walking meditation. I took up this as a topic for a retreat because I wanted to re-engage it. Walking meditation is potentially very helpful. It's a wonderfully clear, grounded way to bring the mind into the present moment and into the present body, the body of the flesh body and the body of earth. So, and in walking meditation, we can become really aware of our steps. So how many steps have you taken in your life? Have you been counting? How many steps have you taken in a day? How many steps do you take in a day? If we're counting, it's likely that we're using walking as exercise to get our 10,000 steps a day in, which is really a good and recommended way of maintaining a healthy heart, to walk 10,000 steps a day. But depending on how we do it, walking is also a way to maintain our thoroughgoing presence in the moment, in the body. One of our chants says, there's a line that we're going along and it says, this step, this step. And very often when I'm doing walking meditation, that's what I am reciting. This step, this step. But not just in formal meditation, walking meditation. It's only in this step, every step, that we move through our life, that makes up our life. We live step by step, this step by this step. So during session yesterday, we honored and explored this ancient form of practice. The Buddha walked everywhere. Actually, everybody walked everywhere, except during the Rains retreat, where the bulk of the practice was done walking from place to place and then stopping, meditating, discussing the Dharma. I'm talking about formal practice now. Practicing with the pace of life in all of its postures. And we tend to forget that. We tend to get very hyper-focused on seated meditation, which is wonderful, profound practice. And it's just one of the four postures. When we do Kinhin in the Zendo, what we're doing is we're taking a break from being seated and still into activity. It's also the time that we use to use the bathroom and to scratch or blow our nose, right? So ordinarily we regard Kinhin as a break during our real practice of Zazen. And it doesn't necessarily merit our deeper attention. But now we're taking the opportunity to look further into the practice that is Kinhin, to honor meditation using the walking posture, which is just as real as Zazen, and more useful when we're very riled up and find it hard to sit still. Zen meditation, we really emphasize sitting completely still. Because every time we move, the mind moves. Every time we move the body, the mind moves. When we're open to moving, we're always deciding whether to move. If we get a little itch, we have to decide whether to scratch it. If our nose is running, we have to decide whether to blow it. There, I just decided to scratch my nose. So when we say, okay, no moving, no matter what during Zazen, we are greatly relieved of all the pressure to make decisions and just to release entirely into whatever is going on. If we have an itch, we experience the itch. If our nose is running, this is an exquisite practice when the nose is running. And there's no choice but to just experience it. There's so much to awaken to be aware of as our life. And coming and awakening through every body posture is wise. So we're really emphasizing tonight and today and maybe every day the possibility of really adding a very robust practice of walking meditation. Just as we encourage everybody, all of us, to chant, to do a little service at home, to do seated meditation, and to do walking meditation. But how, during so much of the day we're walking anyway. So that's a time to weave in, to integrate practice into whatever's going on, bringing the mind back to just this moment, just this step. The word kinhin translates as walking back and forth. And the benefits have recently been, all kinds of meditation has been studied lately. One of the things that was discovered was that walking helps regulate cortisol in the blood, cortisol, which is the stress hormone. It produces catecholamines, which are involved in stress regulation in the brain. It's really interesting what we experientially know from practice is being borne out biochemically in the lab. Medical research is confirming the claims of the Buddha. He knew this. And he says there are 5 benefits of walking meditation. First of all, when we do walking meditation regularly, we can walk long distances traveling by foot. When we regularly walk, we can walk long distances. And at the time of the Buddha, that's how people traveled. Maybe during this time, we can forego using the car for shorter long distances and just use our feet as a practice for presence, and also as a practice for caring for the earth, reducing our use of the car and all that brings along with it. The second of the benefits is we can endure exertion. We develop patience, constancy, which is something in this world where we move so fast from one thing to another constantly, always the next thing, always moving on to the next thing. Formal walking meditation it can be done quickly, but it's also recommended to do a portion of it very slowly, which takes patience. Not trying to entertain. We're not trying to get anywhere. We're not entertaining ourselves. We're not getting exercise, although we are exercising. We're exercising the moment. The third of the benefits is enhancing physical health and becoming free from disease. And actually, I was talking with a friend of mine who's a doctor who was diagnosed about 5 years ago with a really nasty cancer, which has, and at that point, because he was panicked, he took up meditation, and his cancer has all but disappeared. You know, it's not necessary to make a claim for that, and that's not predictable, and who knows why it's all but disappeared. But he certainly has changed his way of approaching his life, and walking meditation really helps us settle down and become good breathers, good walkers. It benefits digestion, of course, because it stimulates nice circulation. And the composure attained by walking is long-lasting. And it establishes concentration. When we do it while doing walking meditation, we then can bring that concentrated state into our seated meditation. So you might experiment with that claim of the Buddha and try the first 10 minutes of your daily meditation. Try doing walking meditation before sitting and see what you notice about the induction into meditation from that entryway. So it deepens concentration that lasts into seated meditation. And he says, these monks are the 5 benefits of walking up and down. When we think about the 4 postures, we think about the position our bodies are in throughout day and night. We are always either sitting, standing, walking, or lying down. And some variation, you know, we could say slouching, slouching meditation. These 4 postures, and we can practice in each of these 4 postures. And if we were to do this unceasingly, we would be really maintaining a continuity of awareness. If we were to say, I am going to practice in every position during the day, beginning with seated meditation or bowing meditation, chanting meditation, standing meditation, walking meditation, lying down meditation, meaning aware and present in any of these postures. And if our aspiration is to be awake in our life, not only awake for a single point when we've been sitting, but realizing the mind of the present moment no matter what, then walking meditation is a real aid to help us with that intention. To realize our mind, to realize what is. Think of all the times during the day that you walk. In the house, here and about, going to the post office, going to the mailbox, walking the dog, taking a walk, walking in the garden. All of that is potentially part of our practice. We can so easily take for granted all of the moments of walking that we do. Or we can decide to give it its full measure and really enjoy the walking. Being aware when walking to, like today I went over to my office where I pick up my mail once a week. Walking from the car to the office and back. It was a beautiful time to just one step at a time. This step, this step, this step. So it's really called for when we think about the Buddha and walking meditation, to think about his birth and what happened at the time of his birth, as the tale goes, which is that he took 7 steps. And when we are born, when babies are born, that is a reflex that they have. We all have it. If a baby is held up and put by the ground, they will lift their leg and walk forward. Of course, they can't do it themselves, and this reflex disappears in 2 or 3 months. But we are born with this capability, and we return to it as soon as we can, as soon as we can get there. We're born for walking. It is a birthright, really. And it's one of the 4 basic postures. Yesterday, one of the things that we did was, when we took a break, we'd been doing walking practice for about 2 hours. We came to a field where we camped out. We spread our mat, we had our little snack, and we took off our shoes. And so one of the things that's a wonderful thing to do when doing walking meditation, and we do this automatically in the Zendo when we are doing Kinhin, but anywhere, take your shoes off and let feet and earth meet. One of the practices that Thich Nhat Hanh, who is the leading current proponent of walking meditation as a complete path, he says, each step where you lift your foot, be aware that in each step a lotus blossoms. So if you think about lifting the back foot, what is left behind? A lotus blossom. If you think about what is the sensation that the earth has when we place our feet, when you're really pissed off and you're walking in that state of mind, when you're really angry and you're walking in that state of mind, when you're really appreciating walking on this earth, that state of mind, does the earth feel that? What are we bringing? What energy are we exchanging with the earth in our steps? So we can be aware of that as we do our meditation, our walking meditation. What am I giving to the earth in this step? So this really is, walking meditation is definitely an earth practice. And yesterday, as we were walking at the Finley Wildlife Refuge, we took time to meet all of the creatures and the plants and the trees and shrubs that live there as we entered their home. We're always in relation to the earth. And walking meditation is a time to really appreciate that and become sensitized to that. Who is there keeping us company as we walk by? Who is watching us, whether we know it or not? What is our relationship? So there's that story of the night of the Buddha's awakening, or the morning of his awakening. He sits all night, and he has resolved that he's going to maintain the seat of Zazen, the seat of present awake awareness, no matter what came through his mind. So Mara, delusion, sends the usual traps forward, right? Beginning with obnoxious smells. Just in case that's enough to knock him out of meditation. He sits there all quietly, and suddenly it's like, oh, what is that? And his mind gets busy, right? But that didn't happen. And then an army came rushing toward him. And is fear going to knock him off his deep sitting? He stays put. He maintains the seat of Zazen, the seat of present awareness. And then a beautiful, seductive woman or 2 or 20 come. Thoughts of sexual excitement and enticement and attraction. Of course, none of us have ever had that experience while sitting. But he maintains the seat. He maintains his seat. And then Mara is really distressed and comes and says to the Buddha, by whose authority do you claim this seat? And who will speak for you? And he challenges the Buddha, and the earth itself answers, I bear witness. I bear witness to the Buddha's awakening. The earth is always witness and part and parcel of our life. It's the source of our life. We used to know this. And increasingly, as our species has become mechanized and urbanized, we've lost our connection to the earth, our connection of awareness of the earth that is our mother. And we are dying. Walking meditation helps us reestablish and repair our relationship, to open our awareness even more widely and include the natural world of which we are intrinsically a portion. Just a portion. Helps us remember our whole self, our wholeness, coming into wholeness in walking meditation. So this is really when we're doing walking meditation outside, we really can be helped by the presence of all of the life forms that live along the path, and the miracles that happen. Like at a certain point on our way back, there was a snake. There were a number of snakes actually that were sunning themselves that we unfortunately disturbed as we went along. And then there was a remarkable snake at the end of the walk yesterday who didn't budge. He didn't budge. And so we could stand there in a circle around the snake, and the snake just stayed there. And then, almost as though it woke up, maybe it was asleep. We were pondering, it's not moving, but it seemed to suddenly wake up and then slither off. And that's always a treat when we have a visitation by another creature. We are not separate. And during our walking meditation, we can let go of our mental stream as the focus of our life and join with the whole living community that resides along the path we walk. When we're doing this in the Zendo, we're so aware of each other. We're walking at the same pace. We do this together. In the garden, we can listen to the trees, the grasses, the Queen Anne's lace waving, the dragonflies perching on the tips of the cattails. But wherever you walk outside, you can open to the life that's all part of that moment with you. I came across a thing online, picture of a fairly large Sangha in walking meditation in a parking lot. So there were all the people lined up, and they were doing walking meditation all through the cars that were lined up. It happens. And Kinhin is a reining in. It's simple, intimate, immediate. This step. We surrender our doing agenda. We're not going anywhere except into the immediate experience. And what comes up in long periods of walking meditation is the same thing that can come up in long periods of seated meditation, which is the mind wanders away. And so there you have a walking body and the mind is 40 miles away, or 10 years in the past, or a week in the future. And then we become aware and bring it back into this step. So there are infinite possibilities in walking. We can feel the upright balance, the shift of balance from foot to foot, the foot behind and the foot in front in walking, the smell of the air, the feeling of cloth on the skin, the sounds, the breeze, the stillness, heat or cool. So I want to recommend Thich Nhat Hanh's Guide to Walking Meditation if you've never seen it. We have it in our library at Sangha Jewel. Every page is a short reflection on some aspect of walking meditation with its own reminder phrases. And the beauty of that is it's inspiring us to come up with our own as we do walking meditation. So some of his are the Emperor's Seal, which is about each time you place your foot, regarding it as it's like the Emperor's Seal that's placed on a document that can be of benefit or can disserve the welfare of the people. And that reminds us of the quality of our stepping. The lotus flower blooming in each step, as I mentioned before. The miracle is walking on this earth. We are so used to it that we lose track, but it is rather a miracle to walk on this earth, to be an upright biped. All that has been involved in equipping us to be able to walk on 2 feet in an upright manner. And then there's the first step ever taken. How often do you have the experience of the first step you've ever taken? It's a wonderful thing to watch a tiny child as they're just learning to walk. Every step, they are so present in every step. We take it for granted until we can't do it anymore, which some of us face toward the end of our life. Or if we break a leg or something, and then we realize how precious it is, how much we take it for granted, being able to walk around. So Thich Nhat Hanh, here's a little quote. He says, "What activity is most important in your life? To pass an exam, get a car, a house, or a promotion? So many have done this and still find themselves without joy, peace of mind, without happiness." And that's how he says, but what about walking meditation? We can get very simple. That this can be, this moment, being present in the moment is a tremendous source of joy and peace of mind. At a time when we really need to remember that we have access to it, we always have access to it. Even when things are really messed up. Even when we have lots of fear about what's coming next. Being able to calm ourselves and come back to center is one way that we contribute a piece to the world. A little bit more. So the most important thing is to realize the treasure that we have in this practice. Finding peace in every step. This step is the most important. This moment is the most important. This moment is the only moment. So, so just one last thing is if you find yourself, so often these days especially, but in general, I hear people say, I'm just too riled up, I'm too anxious to meditate. I know that state, and there are times when it's just too much. You can't sit down and be still. It's too much. You have to be more willing to have the energy, just be there a little bit. So walking meditation is perfect for times like that. And the walking meditation we use at a time like that is kind of the classic practice of standing still and then bringing one foot, right foot, placing, left foot, placing, right, left, completely right, left. Only this step, right, this step, left, this step, the first step. So I hope you can all practice walking meditation this week. Experiment in your various places that you are. For 5 minutes, walking meditation. For an hour, walking meditation. Just like we discovered when we began to do golden hours, solid hour of meditation. Oh, something much more thoroughly quiet comes forward. Same with walking meditation. So experiment with it. Have your own experiences. And enjoy this step. Thank you.